All right. Welcome back to another episode of Court Reporter Confidential. I'm Isaiah Leslie, and I have with me a special guest today. We have Darlene Devlin. She is the New York Supreme Court senior reporter, union leader, and recruiter and trainer. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
So we are obviously in a different location than we normally are. We're at our national convention, the NCRI convention, for this episode. And it's really great because we get to meet people like you here who are from other parts of the country. And maybe for our listeners, just kind of give us your background, your story, how you got to where you are today, and all of that.
Sure. So I've been a court reporter for 25 years, was a freelance court reporter for 8 years. I live on Long Island, and I traveled into Manhattan and kind of all over Long Island doing depositions back in the day. There were no virtual proceedings. Mm-hmm. And as life would have it, I was in a position where I needed to start thinking about benefits and retirement and all those things, which were not being offered to freelancers. So about 4 months before my divorce was final, I was lucky enough to get a job in the state court. Back then, there was a civil service test that you had to pass to become a court reporter, and which is in the lower courts. And I got the job as a temporary position. So then I got the job and then had to pass the test to keep the job, which was extremely stressful. Mm-hmm. But I did, and I was ever so grateful for that. And then through the economy and things that happened, because that was in 2008, there were hiring freezes, there were layoffs, there were rollbacks at certain points. So I had passed the promotional exams, but they came and went without any movement. And finally, in 2017, I got promoted to senior court reporter. So I work in a civil court, hearing all kinds of civil matters, medical malpractice, commercial land disputes, contract stuff, personal injury, things like that.
So your background's interesting. So you got hired in 2008 when the Great Recession hit. Is that right?
Pretty much right before that bubble burst.
Okay.
I mean, I just feel like I had an angel watching over me, that I got the job, didn't know anybody in court, had somebody come to me knowing my situation and seeing how hard I was working. I was working a lot. Traveling was a lot. The city was about an hour and a half away from where I lived.
Oh, wow.
So to go into Manhattan to work was a 3-hour commute every day, there and back.
Yeah.
And she was in the courts, and her daughter was going to aftercare with my daughter, and she kind of said, "What are you doing? Take this test that's coming out."
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, I'll take the test. She called me up in a panic. "Did you sign up?" I said, "No, it's in April. I'll sign up." No, this is January. No, the deadline's tomorrow. Let me bring you the paperwork. You have to have this mailed out by tomorrow. She came up to my daughter's karate school, dropped off the application. There I was, proofreading a 200-page transcript, papers everywhere. And I signed up for that test and then really didn't think much about it. And a couple of weeks after that, I guess the posting came out for the temporary job, and she reached out again. Besides our kids going to aftercare together, I didn't really know her. So it was this kindness and this guiding hand that brought me to the interview, even to lower court. So that put me on the path.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I love my job in court, and I love what it's afforded me. I was also a very happy freelancer.
Okay.
I loved the idea of the more that you work, the more you're compensated. I loved going to the different law firms and meeting all kinds of different people. It was exciting to get out of the suburbs and go into the city.
Yeah.
So I was not an unhappy freelancer.
Got it. Just sort of life circumstances.
Yeah.
And then you got in, and then the freeze happened. They weren't hiring, right?
So I stayed in lower court for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was a great job in that my daughter was younger, And it truly was a 9 to 5 job. I really was not taking minutes, transcripts home to do. Very rarely would anything even get ordered that you couldn't get done at your lunch break or
Yeah.
during the course of your day. So it was a 9 to 5 job, and I was able to be present for my daughter growing up.
That's a great point, and we don't talk about it a lot on the pod. We've had a few people that have had court experience, but they wouldn't be majority officials, right? Most of their career, they did some or the other. But I think your perspective is a good one for the audience to hear, especially for young people that maybe are looking for a more of a 9 to 5 type of a job, right? Where in court reporting you can do that, and maybe talk about some of the benefits as well that are different from what you would get as a freelancer.
Sure. And in New York right now, so they did away with the test for the lower court, and they created a trainee position, which if you are within 2 years of graduating school, you can join the New York State court system as a grade 22, and you're coming in to, I think it's just about $80,000. I don't have the exact figures in front of me right now. You work that trainee position for 1 year, and they automatically roll you into the court reporter position, which is a grade 24. So you bump up again in your salary. Wow. So within the first year, you're making $90,000 a year. And they are actively recruiting people out of school. They're actively recruiting people to come into the grade 24 position. New York is showing what I've seen, a true commitment to keep court reporters, to keep the official court reporters in the courts. And some of the benefits are the pension.
Right.
I was never a good planner. I don't know that I would have been putting money aside for that. So for me, that was a good structure. There's a deferred compensation plan where you can put a percentage of your income in either before or after taxes to build up a little nest egg for retirement. And you can borrow against if you want to buy a house and things like that. It's kind of like an annuity type of situation.
Oh, nice.
Paid holidays, paid sick leave, union protection, union benefits like dental and vision, and of course we have health benefits, which are huge.
Right. Yeah, that's great. And freelancers, obviously, that's all on their own dime.
That was the health benefits was what really kind of spooked me into saying, wow, I need to look into something else, because at the time there weren't a lot of group policies available for
Right.
court reporters. I
Right.
believe now there are group policies that freelancers can get involved in.
Yeah, there's these bundles, I think, with like small businesses you can be a part of. Sure,
Right.
sure. But the health benefits, I mean, we had some health issues in my own family. My wife's, thankfully it worked out. But we had our own agency at that point, so we did have an insurance policy through the business.
Okay.
But if she'd been a freelancer without that, those bills would have completely put us underwater.
It can.
Yeah.
It can. It just even paying the rates, just even paying that.
Yeah.
$1,700 a month or
Yeah.
whatever. It starts to add up. So those are some of the benefits to it, the structure to it. And now that I'm in Supreme Court, there are more transcripts. So it's a little bit back to the harder you work, the more you're going to make, because on top of the salary, we are making minute money.
Doing those transcripts?
Doing the transcripts.
Okay. That's similar to California's model, too. They get their salary, but then they get paid for transcripts separately from that, additionally to that. Yeah. You made a point to say that New York is really fighting to protect the profession. Is that because of some of the efforts of the union and things like that? Or why is New York, seen the value in that and trying to save jobs?
When you're you always want to think that it's because of your efforts when you're
Right,
advocating for
sure.
it, but it's just been demonstrated by the current Office of Court Administration. The administrative leaders seem to be making these efforts in recruiting, and they're actively out. And with this trainee position, it just really opened it opened the door for people who might not have even given this a thought as far as a profession, because I was just talking to a couple of people that run the schools out by us, and where the majority of students used to be coming into court reporting school with an eye towards freelancing. Now you're getting people saying, I want to be an official. I'm going into court reporting school because I want to do this. So it helps the recruitment efforts into the field overall too.
Sure. And let's talk about that for a minute, because I do know that you do some community outreach. You just spoke here at the convention about that. So is that because you guys have been getting the word out to prospective students go into the courts as opposed to freelance, or what do you attribute that to?
You would hope so. I believe that, and you're a part of this movement. You and your wife are doing a lot on social media. I
Yeah.
think that social media does a lot for our profession right now.
Yeah.
What I spoke about here was more the face-to-face, going out to a group of students or going to a trade show and bringing my equipment and showing, or an
Got it.
innovation fair, which we're not court reporters, let's face it, we're not synonymous with innovation. But yet when you bring your equipment and you show how we're working with technology, and you explain that I have AI tools in my software, so we're working with it.
Right.
And that it's really important to continue to be human-led. I think that kind of gets through to people, and it helps debunk some of the misconceptions that are out there about our field. And I think the misconceptions are the real threat.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, within the profession, these kind of misconceptions, and certainly outside too, we have to do a better job of educating people. And it sounds like at least something's working in New York for officials. That's our biggest need in California too, is getting reporters back into the courts. After the Great Recession, California laid off a ton of their official reporters, and they tried to privatize it to bring it back, and that's not a good solution. So yes, our biggest goal is to do the same thing, get reporters back into the court system where they're needed the most. Yeah.
And we do have a big union presence in New York. It's one of the more the more densely populated states, union-populated states in the country. So we're not going to be quiet.
You shouldn't be. No, that's right. That's what they're there for. So let's talk about that for a minute, because you didn't have to get involved in the union to be, working in the courts. So why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, you don't even have to technically be a member in New York. There was some case law from a couple of years back, and so it is optional. But I think that the benefits are seen through the collective bargaining, and my involvement began because I got ticked off about a few things, which not one to just sit around and complain or
Right.
write an angry post, or if I get angry or I see a need, I'm going to want to do something about it. And the person who was running, I had offered my support to. I didn't know that support was going to turn into, can you be my vice president? But we just, we're starting our second term, and we've accomplished a lot of things. And it's been such a growing, an experience where I've grown so much and come out of my shell on a lot of things. I stayed behind my writer for so many years, that to get out and to be talking or standing up for, or writing something that will educating.
Yeah.
It's been really rewarding.
I cannot commend you enough for doing that. That was my wife's experience, Stephanie, getting involved with the DRA, and initially not doing it for a long time. And then once she did, being asked to do something and saying yes, even when she was uncomfortable doing it. And then continuing to move up that, if you say yes, people are going to give you more to do. It's just the way it is.
I have learned that.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. You do work and going to give you more work. And it's so funny how that works. But you do grow. And then the other thing you said is so true is anybody can complain, but it really takes something to do something about it, right? There's this saying, or there's a speech that Teddy Roosevelt gave called "The Man in the Arena."
I have that hanging in my office.
It's one of my favorite, yeah.
Yep.
It's so easy to be a critic and hide behind, and especially today, online, Facebook groups and whine and complain. But step up and do something, if you really feel passionate about it.
Absolutely.
So thank you for doing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you see it all the time. It, we all see the problems, and it affects all of us differently, and you don't know what else is going on in people's lives, and they feel powerless. But to be part of a solution, to be the change in the world that you need,
Right.
is really what has guided me. So I want to keep doing what I see is needed to be done, and hopefully at some point somebody will pick up the mantle and I'll
Right.
go off into the sunset.
Pass on the baton.
Pass on the baton.
Yeah.
But I want there to be something and somebody to pass that to.
And there needs to be, as we talked about before we started, there needs to be a reporter at the table for that. We need to have our voice heard in those meetings, whether it's in the unions that represent the profession, and as importantly, in the legislatures that are writing the bills. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, we need to have their attention and let them know that we're here. And sometimes just a conversation. I mean, court reporting is one of those things where I just don't think anybody really knows what we do.
Yeah.
So the more that we're able to get out there and explain it, then it becomes, well, then maybe a tape recorder isn't a good option when you really start to get into all the nuances of what it is we do. Or maybe AI can't be trusted with this because so much else goes on than they know. So again, it's just important. Social media has been this valuable tool. You guys are doing it, and I've been so resistant to it. I dabble a little.
Sure.
We have some other people in our state that are fabulous with it. We have people in our state association that are out there front and center, influencing people. So the more we're out there and the more presence we have and the more education that's out there and the more that these discussions happen, I think that you can't even put a value on it for our profession.
No, right. It builds on itself. It keeps going to a wider audience. Absolutely. So you're involved with the union, and then are you involved at the state level with the associations or anything, or how does that interact?
So it did interact because early on in the union, I'm with the biggest union in the state for Civil Service Employees Association. So I'm with CSEA, and we represent about a third of the judicial workforce. But there are other brother and sister unions, smaller unions that represent court reporters, I think maybe 9 in total. So around this, New York's such a big state.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot.
So I went to a meet and greet for NYSCRA because I don't know if he was the president or the past president at the time, Joshua Edwards, had offered, without even having met me, to help us get up off the ground and help us with some real-time training.
And so that's the state association?
That's the state association.
Got it, yeah.
So I went to their meet and greet to meet him and thank him and to discuss it a little more. And the next thing I know, Dom Tercy was there, came up and was speaking to me, buys me a glass of wine to have a discussion, and the next thing I know, I'm being voluntold to be on a committee. And then, so then my involvement with the state association began.
There you go.
And I have enjoyed that work so much. That's been so rewarding. We've done so many things for the court reporting community. I won't even say just for the members, because they were doing a court test for the senior court reporters, OCA, and we just ran 5 or 6 Saturday morning practice sessions. We did a written knowledge practice session to really try to cultivate and help these people pass the test.
That's great.
And that's all volunteers. That's
Right.
all people who just care about the profession. We want to see people meet their professional goals, and the association work allows you to do that.
To do that. Now, and you think you're being on the local union and recognizing, hey, we should be doing this thing at our union that these other folks are doing, that's because you were on that union, right? If it was somebody else, they may not have picked up on that, right? So if it was not a court reporter or something.
It didn't happen before.
Right.
And court reporters were involved before.
Right.
So maybe it was just timing or the wording of things,
Right.
or however it worked out that we were able to get it up and running that first year. We've done it 3 times. I'm hoping to continue that program, and we expanded it from our local to reaching all the CSEA court reporters throughout the state.
Wow.
So it's been. I just saw somebody here that said, "I know your name. You did the train. Coordinated the trainings," and she was so happy because, New York is not a. This was the need that I saw. New York is not a certification state, and a lot of court reporters that I know took their RPR, had their RPR or RMR. I know an RMR that let it go.
Wow.
Because they just didn't keep up with the CEUs. This training during the court recess allows them to get their CEUs now from the comfort of their home, because it can be virtual, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah.
And it definitely was modeled after what the other unions were doing. It wasn't an idea that I had all on my own.
Sure.
But I saw this need for the CSEA members
Right.
to have this, and with the help and really advocacy of the local union presidents, also seeing the value of it, for
Right.
them to go and advocate for this and to make it happen, just meant a lot to a lot of the members. Yeah.
That's great. And that goes back to this idea again of, you can be a critic or you can be active with a solution. And of course, to do that means you have to become a member of something, right?
Right.
You have to join, whether it's the association or the union. And I think this goes back to the reporters, we need to be a unified voice. And the best chance we have for that is to join, whether it's in your state or nationally, these associations that are fighting specifically for reporters or for reporters within that more general concept of the union. So I can't stress enough how important it is to join your memberships.
Yes, the NCRA does so much as far as lobbying and just being right there at every issue and putting out information and toolkits for the members. The state associations are the ones that are there with the people who really know what's going on in their state, what's going on in your market right now.
Right.
With membership, although we're volunteers, because I'm on the board of directors for NYSCRA at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're all volunteers. It's not like we're making any money doing what we're doing. We're giving up Saturday mornings, or we're whatever it is, taking time away from our families and our leisure time in between transcripts, in
Right,
between everything
right.
else that everybody else has going on. So nobody's making money on this, but the associations do need the membership. They need the resources to be able to run programs, to have a facility to do the test prep, to have a videographer there so that it can reach everybody who couldn't physically make it there. There's so many things that we want to do, but we do need the membership. We need the membership back. We need people to come back and help with the fight and not just be upset about current
Right.
events. Get in there. Let's figure it out together.
Get in the arena. That's
Yeah.
it. That's right. So about the Supreme Court, tell us a little bit about that experience, because that is the highest court in the state, and what that's been like for you. And
So the highest court in the state for New York, it's a little deceiving, is the Court of Appeals.
Right, of course, right.
So in Supreme
Right.
Court, we're hearing I hear civil matters.
Yeah.
Our county courts, they call them the county courts out by me, are the criminal term of the Supreme Court, basically. So
see.
I don't hear the criminal cases.
Got it.
Which I'm fine with.
Right. Yeah. This can be,
And I do know some of the reporters that work in criminal court, they absolutely love it. I mean,
Sure.
that's their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a great setup in New York as far as that goes, because you can go where you want, you you can go where you want to go. If you know you don't want to do criminal, then nobody's forcing you to go do criminal. And if you don't want to hear heavy med mals, you don't have to do that.
Sure.
So, so in my court, there's also a matrimonial center that is in a different building, but mostly civil matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we joke around, we say Supreme Court is like a box of chocolates because you really just don't know what you're walking into sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, every case is different and different vocabulary, different terminology. It really keeps me very interested. And
Sure.
25 years as a reporter, I'm still learning. I'm still practicing. I'm still looking into brief books to find families for something.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, what other profession? There's got to be very few where every day is a new challenge or a new potential matter you haven't seen before in 25 years, too. So are there any cases that really stand out for you or you'd like to share?
So I haven't been on any media cases that I could discuss and say the name of the case because there are protected people involved, but they were called CVA cases, I want to say, Child Victim Act cases.
Oh, wow.
So a while back, the Child Victims Act was passed, and basically it was allowing adult survivors of childhood abuse to bring their accused abusers to trial to recover civilly. So there was a big media case not too long ago out there, and I was a part of that. So I'm seeing things on the news and
You're
transcribing it.
Yeah.
And I was, a reporter on the plaintiff's day. And, there's a grown man really recounting things from many, many, many years ago that this serial predator perpetrated upon him and others. And, so things like that happen in our courthouse or...
It can be very intense.
It can be. That was a very intense one.
Yeah.
There was a case a while back about a group. It was a group, an older, like a nursing home, where people were living, assisted living home, and somebody thought it would be a good idea to bring dancers in.
Okay.
And unfortunately, one of the older people had a reaction, ended up,
Oh, no, I don't want to laugh.
So there
but
was a
it's almost-
civil case about that.
Wow, yeah.
And that had bizarre, but it had a sad component to it because people lost their family member. So. Yeah, that's more of the stuff that we hear. In the criminal term right now on Long Island, they have the Long Island serial killer. So our courthouses are all abuzz with what's going on over there.
It's a huge story. There's a Netflix documentary. There was the podcast before us. Yeah, that was a really interesting case. Yeah.
So we're all fascinated by it, but I'm not so I'm sure whoever the court reporter is about that will all hear about it some point.
I'm sure, yeah. We'll have to have them at the NCRA or speak about it or something. If they can.
I know.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on, Darlene.
Thank you for having me on. And thank you for everything that you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. And I return exactly. We need more people like you, the 80-20 people getting it out there and representing. And it's been a pleasure getting to know about New York as well. So
thank you.
All right. Well, stay tuned in. We'll have another podcast coming soon. If you liked what you saw, hit the follow, subscribe buttons wherever you're watching or listening to us. And we're saying goodbye from Court Reporter Confidential. Take care.